Hello and welcome to part 5 of the Johnny Blender 2.0 series. In this part we're going to go ahead and start working on the ears and see if we can't get some nice looking earlobes on there. And then we'll probably, I already noticed there's some detail on the nose that I'd like to get to, so we'll see how far we get in the allotted time. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into side view on our numpad, hit 3, and we'll Z into wireframe view. And now tab into edit mode. Oops, still got our eyeball selected. Let's grab our head. You know what? Let's go ahead and save real quick. I'm saving as JB05 because this is part 5. There we go. And tab into edit mode on our head mesh there. Remember, a mesh is a model. Kind of looks like a wire mesh, wireframe. Kind of the origin behind the wireframe name is that it looks like an old sculpture you might have done with paper mache or something using chicken fence wire. I guess that's what it's called. But anyways, so enough of the history lesson. I'll go ahead and start working on the model. Let's grab all these 6. Why not? Go ahead and get the 8 faces there. Go ahead and hit E to extrude like we did with the eye socket and the mouth. And just kind of scale that down a little bit. And we're going to move it up to be about where the base of the ear is going to be. And then we're just going to go ahead and kind of model around it to where it kind of lines up a little bit better. Now, if you're modeling from a different photograph than the photograph here that I have of me, then you might have some different earlobes. Like mine are called, they're attached. You might have some that kind of hang down or something, but it have the same modeling principles as this attached one. So no worries there. I'm just kind of straightening this up. Go ahead and select all these. Now, to select more than one vertex at a time, I'm actually selecting the edges. And the way I'm doing that is holding Alt and Shift at the same time and then right-clicking on one of the lines. And the lines are edges. Excuse me. So you can see I selected all that. And I'm going to go into W on my Specials menu, hit W on your keyboard, and then go Smooth. And that'll smooth that up. We'll do that a couple of times. There we go. Okay, so now let's kind of see how that's looking. Z into solid view. Kind of see that that's indenting a little bit inside the head. We don't want that, so let's select these guys the same way that we selected the other loop. There we go. Then we'll hold down Shift and click on these. Remember, we're always right-clicking with our mouse. Blender uses the right mouse button to click. So, okay, so tab back into edit mode. Actually, let's go into front view, or I guess perspective view, so we can kind of bring that out like we need to, so we can see it a little better. There we go. Okay. Now, let's go ahead and extrude out some, and we'll go into front view. And we can see that, I guess my head is tilted at a different angle in this perspective than it was in the side view, because the ears are not matching up at all. So we'll just kind of have to kind of play with it until it gets the way we want. And doing so, let's go ahead and hit O on your keyboard to turn on the proportional editing. And we can move the ear down, and you can see around it's coming down with it, because that fall off is making it have a nice smooth transition. Okay, so let's go ahead and turn that off again now, because we're going to have some more detail that we're going to need to extrude out through the ear here. And tell you what, let's go ahead and try to get these ears lined up. Even though the rest of the features may not line up, we need to have the ear lined up because that's what we're working with right now. So in our side view, we got it already opened over here. Let's lower our side image here. This is the right side. So let's lower it down on the Z-axis a little bit. About like so. Maybe too much. There we go. Now let's go into front view and raise it up so the ears are congruent with where we started modeling. So let's raise that up some. Okay, so that looks about right. Maybe a little bit off. Let's see here. Let's tell you what, just for measurement's sake, let's keep the ear at the top of the green line, and then it'll be at the top of the red line in this view. So we need to raise that up some, quite a bit actually, and then side view, That's about right. It's just short of being up there. And so is this one. So that's about right. So let's go ahead and raise, go into side view. Let's raise these guys up. Now you'll notice if it's not a complete loop like this, you'll have to select one side at a time if it's more of a square than a loop. But if it's inside of two squares, like so, if it's inside those guys, this extra loop here, you'll be able to select the whole thing at once, like that. Just hold down Alt and click, and it'll select the whole thing. So sometimes you'll have to select each side individually, and then sometimes you can just select the one side, like I've done here. So anyways, so oops, gotta watch where you click sometimes. Like I said, I clicked there, now it's selecting that loop there. So we don't want to do that. Okay, so let's go ahead and, I think the ear looks a little bit smaller too. Is it red here, down at that very first grid line? If you look really close, you can see that it's about even with that grid line there. So let's see what it looks like in this view. Yeah, it looks a little bigger in this view. So I guess we're going to have to magnify it some in this one. Let's go ahead and do that. Size it up some. A little bit more, maybe bring it down a little bit to it's about even. You notice that's about 1 and almost a half. We'll say 1.5 dimensions, 1.5 units wide. I guess we'll just call these square grid units Blender units. So it's about 1.5 tall on the side view. Let's see what it looks like in the front view. It's about 1. It needs to come up a little bit bigger. So we'll keep getting a little bigger. This is really throwing off everything else. I guess it's the lens that I used on my camera. I guess it's better to have the camera a little bit further away and zoomed in with the telephoto lens rather than to have it close up and get a lot of distortion like we can see here. Okay, so we got it about the size we want it. Now we need to bring it over so it's lined up with the side of the head a little bit better. That'll probably be good right there. Side view. Okay, I think that's probably good enough to work with. Now, okay, so let's start moving these guys around. Now this is going to be where the ear connects to the side of the head. So we just really need to kind of just get it a nice smooth shape there. This part here is actually going to be where the ear starts coming away from the head. So let's go into top view and let's kind of rotate this on the Z axis a little bit. You don't have to worry about hitting Z on your numpad or on your keyboard, because from the top view it's natively going to rotate around that view. So if we hit R twice, we can kind of rotate it a little bit, a little easier in other dimensions as well. Excuse me. Okay, let's extrude one more time. Go ahead and scale it up this time. We're going to start coming around the ear. Extrude one more time. Go ahead and scale this one down some. Rotate it in. Okay. Starting to look okay here. Let's go ahead and start lining. Let's make this further the outermost edge. Let's go ahead and start lining that up with the shape of the earlobe there. Okay. See if we can't get this guy to fit right in there. Bring this one over. And bring this one over. And the more we bring these guys out here in, the smoother it's going to look out here. Because let's tab out of edit mode and go into solid view, you can see that it's looking okay on the back side of the ear, but up here it looks really weird. So we need to do what we can to smooth this area out to where it's a nice natural transition into the shape of the ear, where it's growing from the head rather than looking like it's just glued on like it does now. So let's go back into side view and edit mode, back to wireframe, and just keep doing what we're doing. start smoothing this out. Now another thing we can do is like we've done previously, just select all these guys that we're wanting to smooth, and why not these guys as well, and that one I guess. W, smooth, and we'll just do that a few times. And now if we come out, you can see it looks a lot better, but it's still coming too far to the side, so let's just look at it from this perspective, and let's scale it on the x-axis, and that'll make it a lot skinnier. There we go. Oops, forgot to turn off my email again. I gotta remember to do that so I don't have interruptions here. Okay, so let's go ahead and scoot that in a little bit. And okay, starting to look all right here. Smooth this out some. Get this guy up a little bit. Okay, so that's looking okay. Now let's start working on the inside of the ear. This is where it gets a little crazy because we got so many strange shapes inside the earlobe that it's a little difficult to model sometimes. So let's get in here and let's straighten this up just a little bit more. And okay, let's go to grab our face select mode. Select all of these guys right here. And yeah, that'll be good for now. And let's go ahead and kind of rotate around where we can see what we're doing and extrude those in. Just drag them towards the inside of the head. When you extrude, you hit E, you see a line up here. And when you drag your mouse, your part of your mesh that you're extruding follows along that line. If you don't want it to follow along that line, just go ahead and right click out, and then you can just drag it to where you want to. I'm going to go ahead and undo since it just extruded twice while I was showing you that. I don't want that. Go ahead and drag that in just a little bit, and let's go to solid view, and so we can kind of start seeing what we're doing a little bit better now. This can be a lot of trial and error. Let's go to wireframe view and kind of see where we're going here. Let me grab all these guys here. This is where the earlobe kind of starts smoothing out from the curved area there. So I'm going to go ahead and smooth that a little bit more, just a few times. Just do it. W smooth until it looks the way you want. And it's looking okay. Okay, so let's go back in here, tab in edit mode, and let's start to see what we can do. Let's grab these guys here, and there. We're going to go ahead and extrude these guys, scale them up some. Let's go ahead and drag it up. You can see that when we scaled it, it scaled to the side as well. So let's hit Control Z to undo a couple of times until we have those selected again. And then we're going to scale those on the x-axis a little bit smaller, so they're not coming through the outside of the ear there. And just drag them in. And you know what? Let's go ahead and hit W, smooth. That'll kind of start smoothing those up. Then we can kind of move them in manually to get that nice curvature inside the ear there. Need some up here as well. Okay, that's looking okay. I'm going to go ahead and save. It's a good idea to save often when you're working in Blender, because sometimes you'll get something really nice going and your graphics card will start bugging out and Blender will crash, and then you've lost all your work. So very frustrating. So it's a good idea to save as often as you can, as often as you can remember to. So okay, so we got the basic outline of the ear situated fairly well. Now let's try to start working inside here a little bit. Let's move this guy up here, move this guy down, move this guy up. Just kind of start trying to line your edges up with with the natural curve of the ear shape. Okay, so now I'm going to select these guys here. Okay. Go and extrude those in. And then I'm going to grab these guys, extrude those out. We're going to have our little shape right there. I'm going to go ahead and hit smooth those a few times. Move this guy out some. And let's grab the corners, drag it, start trying to line that back up a little bit better. Now if you're working on a more cartoonish style, a more stylized, abstract type of shape, you could probably just get away with doing just some rough ear shapes there. But since we're trying to go for more of a realistic approach, got to get as much detail in here as we can. The ears are one of those places that are very difficult to get something looking good quickly. I think that's why a lot of cartoons just have basic shapes there rather than trying to get in and do a lot of detail work. Drag that up to be a little bit smoother area there. Okay, so let's work in this area right here. Let's see, let's drag this guy down, this guy. I'm going to grab these faces here and that one, and let's go ahead and extrude those out, and then let's smooth them down some. Okay, that's looking pretty decent, I think. Still got a little work to do on it. So let's go into wireframe view again. Grab all these guys here and go ahead and W smooth a few times. Yeah, that's looking okay. I'd like to narrow some of this area up though. Okay, that's not too bad. Okay, now we just need to kind of clean it up some and then we'll call it good. So let's bring this out. Have a nice smooth earlobe here. And I think I'm going to add maybe a couple of loops in here somewhere. First, I want to add a Control R, by the way, adds a loop in between a couple of other loops. So right now you see that purple line. If I click, it's going to go ahead and put a line there, and then I can move my mouse up and down to kind of control where I want it. So I'm going to put it about right there. And I want to go into the side view again, 3 on your numpad, of course. I'm going to hit C. And what this brings up is kind of a vertex select paint mode, basically. If I just click and drag, it's going to select all those that I'm clicking and dragging over. If I want to deselect them, which is what I want to do right now, I hold down Alt and click and drag, and then it deselects whatever's selected. So I want to deselect all these guys until I have just these guys, and then you right-click to get out of there, by the way. And so I just have just the backs of the ears. I want to drag those in, get a little bit more separation there. Just going to scale them down some. Okay, so I got some decent looking ears there. Go ahead and save. And tell you what, let's break out our sculpt mode. And let's go up here and click on there. and then we will grab the smooth tool. And let's go up in here and just kind of lightly brush over our ear shape here so we can smooth up some of those sharp edges. Okay, one other thing I want to do before I call the ear done is I'm going to go ahead and put the ear canal in there a little bit. So let's go back into edit mode and let's grab those faces there and let's extrude those in some. Then scale it down, drag it down a little bit. We're going to extrude again, scale it down some. And then say one more time, extrude it in and move it over. Now we've got a very deep looking hole, so let's try to clean that up some. Let's grab our vertex select mode, grab those guys, bring them up, and let's make it so it's not quite so tall. Just kind of clean that up some. Clean up the ears. There we go. Maybe it's a little bit too far to the front. So I'm going to select that loop and then select this loop one at a time and then move it backwards some. And let's scale it on the Z-axis. And I'm getting a little OCD on this, I think. But as I've said before, anything worth doing is worth doing well. So... okay, so I'm not sure if this will pass any anatomy classes or anything like that, but it'll work for our model. Looks pretty decent, I think. Might even clean it up a little bit here, just a little bit more. Okay, go ahead and save. And now let's look at it from the side view. Okay, it looks like it's lining up with the head for the most part. In the front view, it probably needs to come out some more. So let's hit C again to select everything and just paint over all that. So we'll select almost all of the whole ear. And then just go in here and select a couple more vertices. Okay, and let's deselect some of these guys back here. We don't want to move part of the head, so just C and then hold down Alt, remember. And let's deselect those, and that one. And let's go into front view again. And let's rotate that on the Z-axis, and then bring it out. You can see it looks a little bit better. Now we can see where we need to clean up some more in here. Let's drag these guys in. Move those back. Might need to add one more loop. Let's go ahead and do that. Let's add a loop right there. And then kind of scale it down. Okay. So the ear looks good from the back for the most part, but we got this crease up here on the front of it now. So let's pop back into sculpt mode again. Our smooth tool is still selected, so let's just brush over this area here until it starts smoothing out a little bit better. You know what we can also do is go in here and grab the thumb tool, and we just kind of click and drag, and it's kind of like we're just scooting our thumb over a clay model type of thing. Doesn't really want to work too well, I don't think, though. So let's do this. Just hop into edit mode and let's do the old-fashioned way. Just select all those ones we want to smooth out, and those as well, and these. I think I selected one up there too on accident. There we go. And just W smooth, and just do that a few times. And let's just do this manually. Just grab that and just drag it out. Drag it out until they start separating a little bit better. Okay, so that's a lot better. Let's grab the old smooth tool yet again. Now we'll brush it up a little bit, and that should give us a lot better results. Yeah, there we go. Okay, that looks like it's a natural part of the head growing out there. Just kind of do a spot clean of it. There we go. Go ahead and save. And it's looking okay. Let's go ahead and just clean up a little bit more on the rest of the head. Okay. So we got our ears now. And that's about the time limit for this part 5. Stay tuned on part 6. We're going to probably edit the ears, maybe bring them a little bit further forward. I know they look lined up for the most part on our photo reference, but they look a little odd to me on the model itself. So we might bring those forward a little bit, and then we'll go in and mess with some more details on the face. So that's all for part 5. Thanks for watching yet again, and I will see you in part 6.